What's your childhood mystery that you finally solved years later? When I was 10, my grandma lived with us after Grandpa died. She had this weird habit of talking to someone in her room every single night around 9 p.m. I could hear her having full conversations through the thin walls, asking questions, laughing, even arguing sometimes. But here's the thing. She lived alone in that room, and whenever I'd peek in, she was always sitting by herself at her vanity mirror. My parents said she was just talking to herself because old people do that. But this wasn't random muttering. These were actual back and forth conversations. She'd say something like, "Oh really? What did the doctor say?" Then pause for exactly the right amount of time, like someone was responding. Then reply, "Well, that's wonderful news, dear." Being a nosy kid, I started listening more carefully. Every night, same time, she'd sit at her vanity and have these detailed conversations about family gossip, health updates, and memories. She'd laugh at jokes I couldn't hear and get emotional about things the invisible person was apparently telling her. Sometimes she'd even argue, "No, that's not how it happened. You're remembering it wrong." This went on for 3 years. I became obsessed with figuring out who she was talking to. I checked for hidden phones, radios, anything. I even crawled under her window outside to see if someone was standing there. Nothing. Just grandma, sitting alone, having animated conversations with thin air. The conversations were so specific and detailed. She'd discuss people I'd never heard of, mention places from decades ago, and reference events that happened before I was born. She knew things about these invisible people's lives, their jobs, their health problems, their children's names. It was like she had an entire social circle that only existed in her room at 9 p.m. One night when I was 13, I finally got brave enough to knock on her door during one of these conversations. "Grandma, who are you talking to?" She looked confused and said, "What do you mean, sweetie? I'm just getting ready for bed." But I had literally just heard her having a detailed conversation about someone's hip surgery. When I told my parents about the conversations, they exchanged this weird look. Mom sat me down and said, "Honey, Grandma has dementia. She's not talking to anyone. Her brain is just confused." But that didn't make sense. These weren't confused ramblings. They were coherent, two-sided conversations with consistent characters. After Grandma passed away when I was 16, we were cleaning out her room and found something that made my blood run cold. Hidden in her vanity drawer was a small tape recorder and dozens of cassette tapes labeled with dates going back 40 years. Each tape was labeled Sunday Calls with the Girls, or Coffee Talk with Mary and Ruth, or Book Club Discussion. I played one of the tapes from 1987. It was Grandma and 3 other women having the exact same conversation I'd heard her having alone in 2003. Same voices, same stories, same jokes, same arguments. She'd been playing these old recordings of her deceased friends every night and responding to them in real time, having conversations with people who had died years ago. We found her address book with death dates written next to names. Mary died in 1995, Ruth in 1998, Helen in 2001. For 3 years, I'd been listening to my grandmother refuse to let her friendships die, playing the voices of her best friends and responding as if they were still alive.